I'm on recording, so I'm just going to turn my screen on for starters. Hello, hi, welcome everybody. And then I am going to share my screen if I can find exactly what I'm looking for. So let's do that. All the wrong things here. Give me 1 second to share screen. Share screen. Share screen. Let's go and we'll press play. So, hello everybody. It'll take a few seconds to do. So we've got started. So welcome and thank you for joining me on this live webinar or recorded live. So this is how we best support those with challenging behaviours and complex needs within the care sector. But I'm hoping that you'll be able to take something from this because you'll be able to implement some of the tools and some of the some of the tools that we'll be using that you'll be able to use in everyday life as well. Because I think a lot of it is related to everyday life. But the main of this training course is to deal with supporting those who are in crisis, those who display a challenging behaviour. So my name is Tim Attio. I've been working in the healthcare sector for over 25 years. I started working in a youth project centre back in the early 90s. And that gave me the drive, the want to do this and to work with people. I have a fascination with how people tick and work. I've always have done it as a weird little child. I was always wondering what people are doing. And so this is what led me to this. And so I got a job in health and social care supporting people. I worked for a private company and I've worked for the NHS. With the private sector, I started out as a support worker and worked my way up the ladder and level 5 diploma in health and social care management level. I trained as an NLP, did the core skills, did an NLP practitioner course, and then master practitioner, my hypnosis therapy, and an active support coach. And a lot of what we're doing today is around the active support model as well, and how we can help people to gain a better quality of life, and that they have meaningful activities, so have informed choice in what they do in their life, just because they are deemed. So going back to my experience quickly, is that most of the people I work with, most of the training this has been around, has been for people that are nonverbal, autistic, lots of other complex needs like learning disability, low functioning, and for people that struggle to not understand or have very limited capacity on putting themselves in danger, hot and cold, feeding themselves, looking after themselves, having a routine. They cannot look after themselves, so they need support 24 hours a day, 70 days a week. Some of these people I've been working with, or I do work with, 2 to 1, 24 hours a day. And when they're in the community, are 4 to 1 due to their behaviours, because of very limited capacity. So I got an interest in that and how to help people and how they can get the best out of their lives. And obviously your risk assessments, we will go through risk assessing constantly. And you're trying to have them engaged in an activity, engaged in their life, have choices in what they're doing. So let's crack on with this. So some of the learning points, my video is in the way. Oh, no. Let's go back. Let's move this baby over here. So to understand what is deemed as a challenging behaviour, what is a challenging behaviour, what do you deem it to be? Put a message in the comments of what you think that is. And then also give you the intervention, give you the skills and the techniques to help this person that is either in crisis or not deemed or having a challenging behaviour, and how to keep people safe, yourself and others. And I want you to be able to understand why these behaviours happen and what we can do about that, and what is our best practice, because we're always trying to do our best practice and always trying to help and support people in the best way to get the best out of their lives. And I will go on about quality of life because this is what we do. We're trying to improve their quality of life. And now this is not working. So the whole approach and the concept, again, is about the quality of life, or improving the quality of life of the individual. We look at their general feelings on a day-to-day or minute by minute, hour by hour, of what their well-being is and how they're feeling, and see that there's opportunities for them to achieve everything, and that they have full potential to achieve a lot of things. And it is scoped around what their likes and dislikes are, what their wants, like what their goals are. And because we find it easy for people that are high functioning, or for people that have a high capacity, to take these things for granted, that we know what we want to a certain degree. We get up and do things. We have a morning routine. We have this, we have that. We can do it without really thinking about it. And for somebody that doesn't think about it but needs it, it's a whole different picture. And that's what our job is to do, is to help that person that has a low capacity, doesn't know when to feed themselves, doesn't know that medication is good for them, or exercise is good for them, or feeding or drinking is good for them. And so we always want them to be involved in everything they have in their life, and it's always a positive. And it's struggled when people are in care. You know, we can't be positive. We as people, or me, I can't always be positive all the time. I struggle to be positive all the time. But what we're trying to do is promote this within the care sector with the person that you're supporting. So that's just the whole standard of it, really, is the quality of life, and that we're providing that support for that person to improve it every single day. And I want you to have this as a fundamental concept of, you know, you're improving the quality of life, helping them to have informed choices, meaningful activities. So the purpose of behaviour is to get their needs met. We behave as humans to behave. We behave in a certain way to get what we want. And we will change our behaviours and behaviour flexibility to get what we want. So if I have many strategies for getting what I want. I'm thinking I have to change my behaviour, I have to have a different tone of voice, I have to ask these certain questions. Somebody that doesn't have the capacity, they only have one or two strategies. And mainly one of those is to hit out, is to have aggression or violence. And there's a difference between, and we'll talk about that later, between the difference between violence and aggression. So what are they trying to tell us? And we're always trying to improve the quality, like I say, quality of life. And what are best practices? What are they trying to tell us? And we'll go into this a little bit more. And also the behaviours can be it's a learned behaviour. They do this, they get this. It's a complex equivalence, as they call it. This means that. And that's how they see things. I'm hungry, I hit out, I get food. I stamp my feet, I jump up and down, I scream and shout, I behave in a certain way because I know I will get something from that, but I can't verbalize that to you. I can't tell you what I want. So I'm going to have an action because that's the best way I know how to. So what we do is try to put those tools in places like pictorial cards, the likes and dislikes, the personal behaviour support plans, and we try to put those in place. So a definition of a human behavior, and I'm going to read this out to you, and it's culturally abnormal behaviours such as intensity, frequency, duration, that the physical safety of that person or others is likely to be placed in serious jeopardy. And you're risk assessing that straight away. Are they going to be in danger? Are others or themselves in danger? And what do I do about it? And that the behaviour is likely to limit their so you can read that. So generally what has happened in the past is that they behave this way, and then there's an almost like a sanction. You behave like this, you don't go into the community. That's how the old world was. That's how care was going. Behave like this, you don't do this. And what we do is we limit their stresses of what they do. We try to get people to have a life in the community and not put themselves in danger, and also that they have dignity when they go out. As if someone is displaying that, it is limited. It's also they're not displaying, because unfortunately ignorance is a massive part of people's psyche, of how people are in mental health care or in social care. And we need to spread the word of knowing that people behave and to get to a certain thing, or they behave because they're upset, they're tired, they're in pain. It's not because they're showing off. It's not because they're trying to cause trouble. And people will look at you when you're out supporting somebody and somebody has an incident or a meltdown or crisis or acts out, or however your terminology is. People will look and stare and not ask the question, are you okay? Do you need help? I'm fine, thank you. We're okay. Or, yes, that's great. Thank you very much. Or whatever you decide to or show them the card to say that this is what's happening. This person has autism or challenging behaviours and we're dealing with it. And what we're trying to get out of is that we're not limiting their activities or their community interests or going out, but we always have to keep them safe. And so you stick to your personal plans, your daily care plans, and so on, which we can go into in a bit. So some of the things that we look out for. So I always use the word seat. So at the function of a behaviour, is it a sensory issue? Are they overstimulated? Are they understimulated? Are they too hot? Are they too cold? Is there too much noise? Is there too much light? Somebody with autism, light, their senses can really hurt them, but light can hurt them. Heat can hurt them. Touch can hurt them. And I don't mean like being the feeling, the sensory touch on the feeling on the fingers can hurt them. And so they're being, you look at the sensory side, do I need to help them? Do I need to turn the noise down? Do I need to turn the lights out? Are they trying to escape the situation? Are they trying to escape an activity that you provided? Are they trying to escape an interaction that they're having? Are they trying to escape the environment that they are in? And it's a simple thing. You can just remove them, help them to remove them from that environment and go to another one. That might be, are they trying to get our attention or somebody else's attention? And is it as a tangible object or a person, which, they might be trying to get that person for the physical response or that interaction of that attention. So always remember this is seat. Is it a sensory issue? Are they struggling on the sensory? And I'm talking for people that really struggle with their senses and the overload or being understimulated. So, understimulated, so they start acting out because they want to do more. I use acting out, or there's lots of terminology for it, or they overstimulate. There's too much noise, too much sensory. We get that ourselves. We struggle ourselves in a sensory issue. And we're always trying to escape if we don't like a situation, and we're always trying to get an attention in some shape or form. Things are tangible that we want, and some of the reason that could be for challenging behaviours is it a physical, is it cognitive, is it emotional, and is it an environmental and sensory side of things? So a physical can be anything from dehydration, constipation, infection. Is it a medical or physical term or health problem? Looking at the cognitive side of things, can they communicate what they want? Are they able to understand communicate what they want to you and understand what is going on in the situation? Do they have a memory loss? Do they not always remember the situation and what to do in that situation? Do they struggle with the difficulty with language? Like I said, they have a learning disabilities. It can be disorientation. So I struggle to say that word. Disorientation, poor executive function. So the function so going into the function side of things is that if you look at it in a sense of personalities, if I go to buy something, I would say, I want to buy that. And another part of me will say, well, actually, you need to save money and things like that. So you're getting that executive, or if I want to go for a job interview, or I have a meeting or this training, I will bring a part of me to the executive part of my brain and say, I want to do this training. I'm good at what I'm doing. I could talk about it. I'm experienced and I'm qualified to do this. So that's the executive part, the part that's at the conscious part of your brain that does that part. So are they struggling with that? And part of it is that we as support workers or staff or managers, we have to plan a lot, and you have 2 or 3 plans. You have the main plan, but you also have, if things don't go as planned, plan. So are your plans poorly done? You can look at the 6 Ps. When you're going out on an activity, somebody might struggle when it stops when they stop at a traffic light because they don't like waiting. They like to get from A to B, and due to their autism, they really struggle with the red light, for example. So what's your plan to find a route to go round that you don't come across? And it's a very hard one, but planning and thinking ahead makes their life and their anxieties, their stress reduce quite a bit because you're taking control of that. But you always have a plan consistently, always fill the van with money, food, drinks, activities, sensory toys, pictorials. You have a tool bag of things that you're able to, if that doesn't work, we try this. And then you're always keeping them safe in those points. And then the emotional, they in fear, they got anxiety problems, are they depressed? Have they been socially isolated for a period of time due to their behaviours? And this is the first activity or a community place that they've been to in the last few weeks. And due to their behaviours at the time, are they currently have a fixed belief that if they behave in a certain way, they would go out, or if they don't go out, so they're behaving not to go out because they don't want to go out to this place or that activity that we've provided. And again, going back to your planning, going back to understanding the personal centered plans and actions, is that you're able to find out what their likes and dislikes are. And they might change them because we all do. We're not always rigid in what we like to change things up as well, but we always have to keep in mind what their plans are and what their likes and dislikes. And then the environment, again, noise, heat, inappropriate signs. I've got the culture factors. Are they in a unit or a place or a home that back in the 60s, anybody with them that was classed as mental health was all put in one room, whether they're autistic, a personality disorder, mental health issue, or a learning disability, were all put in one room. And thank God we are at a point where each individual is cared for properly and their needs are met. But still today, there are some homes that will have 6 or 7 autistic people, and some, and I mean some, places will deal with everybody in that home, that unit, as one autistic person. And this is where we go back to personal. Everything has to be personal centered. That individual, whatever it is, they got autism. If you come into the world of autism, you're under one umbrella, but it has to be personalized because of their sensory issues, their likes and dislikes, their anxiety levels, their stress levels. So you provide that support for each individual, and it's got to be personal centered. Have they got no routine? A lot of people like the routine of what we do, or the support we provide for them. Are they, like I said, are they overstimulated, understimulated, or stopping a habit, or having a habit? Are we stopping a habit which some habits have not been good for people that are in secure units or low or medium secure units because of the behaviours are essentially. I'm going to share some things with you. So I meant to say at the beginning, is things that we share in this training stays within the training. And some of the people I've worked with, some of the things they've done, and some of the behaviours that they have is eating their own feces, eating other people's feces, including incontinent pads, other bodily fluids, I'm trying to think of the word then, sanitary towels, and skin, and some things that's their behaviour, that's their way of for whatever reason, and we look into that in the function. But that's what they do. So you're trying to stop a habit, a behavior that is not good for them. So it's working out how to do that as well, and provide them and if you have a care plan in place that you're able to provide, and we'll go on to that later, but you'll be able to provide a strategic breakdown of how you support. If they behave this way, this is what we do, 1, 2, 3. If they do it this way, we do 1, 2, 3. And we look at the risk assessment management overall, how they keep it safe. And yeah, so again, physical, cognitive, emotional, and environmental. Environmental is a massive thing. You know, you can change a lot of someone's behavior depending on their environment. You know, and it's the same for us if we're stressed or struggling in a certain situation, that we then change our environment and all the things seem better. So what we want to do is when someone behaves, we want to replace or interrupt that pattern or that behavior. And we need to put something else in place of that behavior or that. And it's got to be something that gives them, like I put here, serves the same function. And that could be the same function as what they're getting from it in a sensory issue or how they're feeling. Because they can, like I said, they can behave and have behaviors or class as a group of behaviors, but they come from the same responses as, you know, the sensory, the escape, the attention, and the tangible thing. It can be, they can behave under that circumstance for all their behaviors, and they can be all combined at the same time. So it's a lot to think about, and it's a lot to deal with. But when you're faced with somebody that is highly aggressive, you know, what's in this, obviously the first thing is thinking of risk to themselves and others. But then you're trying to work out what are they trying to get from that? What, okay, he's coming at me or she's coming at me. Okay, what are they trying to tell me? You know, they're trying to get out of the room, and is it too hot, too cold? Are they trying to get my attention or someone else, or they're trying to get an object or an activity object or a person? And you have to think very quickly, how do I support that? But I always remember sensory. Like, it's too hot in there. Let's move to the other room, Mr. Collar. Okay, they need to get out of the situation. There's too many people, too much noise, and they're trying to get the attention from the person, the gardener in the garden, because he likes gardening or they like gardening, and they want the lawnmower along those lines. So it's constantly trying to think 2 to 3, 4 steps ahead, and the more you practice, the easier it gets. And you can think of that to everyday life: is that, what am I getting from my senses? Am I giving all my needs? Am I trying to escape a situation? Am I trying to get someone else's attention? And do I want a tangible object? So this is something that we use, and it is called the time intensity mode model and the behavior cycle. I'm just going to move my camera to the side for 1 second. So we're always trying to maintain the baseline. We try that, and you know, if you have a baseline behavior, so you work out what they look like, what they sound like, how they behave at a baseline level, how they are when they're relaxed or doing an activity that they enjoy, and that will give you a good baseline. And we try to use that as a tool of what, and this comes into the care plan and the personal centered plan and the positive behavior plan. They all combine each other, and you're looking at the baseline. So you have a set event. You know, the event could be an activity or a disruption, and that triggers them, and the behavior escalates because that's their first port of call. As such, they go straight into that behavior and go straight into crisis. And a lot of the time it does. So a lot of the time, some of the people that I work with, their first port of call or their action is to assault or self-harm. So what we're trying to do is quickly put interventions in place, and that comes from the positive support plan, is that we put things in place to bring them back down as possibly can to baseline. And only at the last resort are they ever physically restrained. And I don't like the word restrained, but sometimes some of the behaviors of some of the people I've worked with will put themselves in dangers and put others in danger. And it is a last resort, but it is a must to keep them safe. And sometimes that can escalate the behavior even more. Sometimes, again, going back to see, they wanted that physical response. They wanted that touch, that sensory issue. So that they've created a trigger, an event. They've escalated the behavior. They've assaulted someone or self-harmed themselves. Staff have responded and had to physically restrain that person to keep them safe. And I emphasize that it's always to keep them safe and keep others safe. And you do have training on that, by the way. Very strict guidelines that we follow when we are restraining someone that is self-harming or highly aggressive. But they might need that. They might need that sensory interaction. And like it says on this chart now, it goes down, but it can quickly go back up again because you start to release up, you start to step away from the situation or release them from the restraint, the hold that you have them in, and bumps you straight back up. And you've got to be sensitive around that. And then the other side of it, boom, as on the chart, it goes straight down to the bottom, and they hit they hit a very big low that they're either not used to or you've not seen before. And then again, that's where you need to have your care plan in place, your positive support plan in place, so that you're able to provide support to bring them back up to baseline. Because that is always keeping them safe. And you risk assessing constantly. When do I need to not interact? When do I need to engage? And you need to engage all the time. But I mean, if it's a physical response, whether you need to restrain that person, you need training, obviously, and the companies that you work for should provide that training for you. But it's just to give you an idea of what happens and how potentially we do. So we look at this settings, events, and triggers. So in the context of this, it's setting events which are sensitive to the person, to his or her environment. These can occur hours, days, weeks prior to an incident. And this is where we're going on about aggression and violence, is because in my world, aggression is an outburst, is instant without thinking. Violence is a premeditated thought. I'm going to, and I've worked with some people that have spent weeks, someone has not bought them a cup of tea, or a staff member's in their world done something to them that they didn't like, or stopped them from doing in their world, stopped them from doing an activity, or something like that. And they have pre-planned that. They've took a staff member around the corner, out the spotlight, out the corner of the outside staff members, took them and attacked them and physically hurt them, and put the staff member in hospital. So there's a difference between, I just wanted to quickly say about hours, days, and weeks. People that are struggling with the mental health can pre-plan things or wait, depending on lots of factors. But so in that person's environment, is it everything they want? They got everything they need? And like I say, hours and days, the events, that an incident or accident can happen at any time, and they always need to be on the ball. That's where the daily care plans come into place, is that what's their plan for the day. And most people will be supported, and I'm talking extreme cases of people are supported by a staff member all the time. So it's looking at, are they having a meaningful activity? Are you looking at their personal plans to provide that support? Are they doing their rituals and routines that they need to do? And are you providing that in that home or elsewhere? And then we look at the triggers. And this is events and occurrences which immediately precede the behaviour change. So what happens directly after they have that? And you look at the behaviour, the sensory side of things. What does it look like? How are they behaving? How are they being? How are they sounding? How are they looking? Are their skin colours changed? Is their breathing changed? Are they more relaxed? Or are they more agitated? They're more depressed? They're hyper? So you look to see what happens after. So the conditions occur within the body. So we always think of medical first. Are they in pain? Simple first protocol. Are they in pain? Especially with somebody, you say it with anybody, but what we used to do with people, especially with people who are non-verbal, are you okay? Are you in pain? And sometimes that also creates of, oh, actually, if I act this way, they ask me, I'm in pain, I say yes, I get this. So you've got to be aware of behaviours and people getting their needs met and getting what they want, and they will change their needs if they want to get something that's in a medical room or staff members in, then they will say they're in pain or display that they're in pain to get into that medical room to get the medication or to get that person's attention. So, but we also think medical first purely because are they in pain? Because they can't tell us that they are. So the external. So it's anything that can be an activity centre, a shopping centre, a shop, a family's house, family home, outside. So we're always thinking about what's going on the outside and what could potentially trigger. And you will again go back to your personal centre plans and behaviour support plans, and you'll be able to indicate what triggers or events that happen, or that what triggers people, or what causes the anxiety, what causes the person to behave in such a way, what are their triggers, what triggers that person to behave in a certain way. So some of the inner questions that we ask, again, will be in the physical discomfort. Are they in fear? Is there too many in the crowd? A lack of appropriate means of emotional release. So are they able to tell us and express how they're feeling, whether they're happy, whether they're sad, whether they're hot, whether they're cold, whether they're hungry, whether they're tired, whether they are, like I say, in pain. And that we're able to provide that support and we know what to do with that. Are they fatigued? Is it, like I say, is it hot and cold? Is it medical or health related? And that they're able to, you look at their records. Are they got tooth pain? Is it a psychiatric, got my teeth in, can't say it, disorder? And that they're able to, do you need more assistance? Got the chain, speak to the team leader, speak to the manager, and where they can get the clinical assistance that that person might need. And is it a reaction to the medication, or has their medication been missed, which can happen? Have they taken the medicine and spat it out and not taken the medicine? Or is there an adverse effect from the medication that they've just newly started, for example? So again, what are they trying to tell us? And remember, seat, sensory, escape, attention, tangible. So a need for identity is a way of expression. They do need they have a need for attention on a daily, on an emotional or physical level. So, but they have an ability to express how they are, how they're feeling, or what they want, and it is a need. And we all have a sense of when we don't accomplish things, whether it's the little things or the big things in life, when we struggle on a daily basis. So I wanted to quickly look at the body language side of things. And that, like it says here, I know, or do you know, that you can't have a thought without giving a response to that thought. And then an example is that, hi, nice to meet you. Ah, great. My voice in a certain tone, how nice, hello. My body's all scrunched up. You will get that. What happens is that what's going on inside your brain, or what you're thinking about, it comes out in your body language. You cannot have a thought without giving a physical response to that. So when we talk about the mind and the body being part of one system and being congruent in what we do, one of the unique abilities that people with autism have is reading body language. They are amazing. It's an amazing skill to have, and it's an amazing skill that they have. And they're able to pick up the shot of the shoulder, change colour of the skin. They can see that we're not being congruent. Our voices and words are saying one thing, and our body language is saying something completely different. So there's a mismatch, and they will pick up on those subtle cues and react in a certain way. And sometimes not in a good way. They will attack you, assault you, attack somebody else. So always try to remember how you're communicating with that individual, and that you are as one, as corny as that sounds, but you are mind and body talking the same language. And that what I'm thinking is what I'm displaying physically. I'm happy, I'm relaxed. Yes, we all get tense within jobs and when we're talking to people. But when you're saying one thing but thinking another, that comes out. So just to be aware of how we display ourselves, how we tone the voice, the pace of how we talk, a pace level. Do we talk too fast? Do we need to talk slower? Do we know to talk higher? Do we know to talk louder? And there's also a thing, and this came up in training quite a bit, is that I can raise my voice without shouting. And it doesn't mean that I'm angry. And a lot of people say, oh, you shouted, you must be, well, you ever shouted and not been angry? You ever raised your voice and not been angry? And it goes again, it's a complex equivalent thing, is that this means that they've got a big red car, they must be rich. You know, they've got a nice picture on the wall, they must be rich. That woman shouted at her kids, she must be a bad mother. You know, we automatically believe that this means that. And it's the same as what we're displaying, what we're communicating, and what we do. We need to be congruent in what we say and what we do. So some of the language signs is increased tension. So you look at the physical side of things. The jaw's tensed, and the lips change colour, and the skin change colour, and they're more hunched up, more tense, more relaxed, and the breathing gone out, and the verbal outbursts. And they could be grunts, it could be noises. Snot under the nose. You give threatening looks, or eyes, our brows come down, they stare at you. And as you know the person, and you talk about, we go back to behaviour support plans, is that you're able to work out what their distinctive person specific signs are, how they display things, how they talk. And one of the tools that I use is being proactive, remembering seat at the same time, sensory, escape, attention, and tangible. Always keep this in mind. And what we are trying to do on a daily basis is be proactive. 70% plus of what our time spent with that individual is addressing the needs before anything happens. So like we were talking about earlier about going back to plans. You're putting things in place and being proactive to support that person in the best way, giving them a quality of life, giving them a meaningful activity, and giving them an informed choice in what they do. But you know, if these things, these needs aren't met, a problem will arise. So you're always, or 70% at least, trying to be proactive for these things not to happen. And having a good plan in place will help you with that. And then when some things start to go not as planned, that's when you come in at the 20%, and you have to almost help that person to relax. I don't like to say calm down because it's just terminology, but help that person to calm, get back to baseline. And their needs obviously need to be addressed very quickly. And then reactive at 10% is dealing with that challenge behavior. And the first thing that comes up is the risk assessment. Are they in trouble? Are they in danger of hurting themselves? And are they in danger of hurting somebody else? And what plans do I have in place to help that person? Do I need to physically intervene? Or can I use a tool, a technique, a distraction tool, a distraction activity, something they like, or a sensory object? We say sensory toy, but it's not a toy. I can't think of the word right here, right now, but it could be a sensory toy. I can't think of the word at this moment. But we have objects like a fidget or a bit of plasticine. They might want that, and that might distract them enough to get them out of the situation. Or it might be a piece of food or a drink to distract them, interrupt that pattern of behavior. And distraction is a big thing, and it works very well because your main aim, or the fundamental aim, is to remove that person from danger to themselves or to others, or that behavior. You're trying to change that behavior so that things don't escalate into aggression or someone getting seriously hurt. So you can use a distraction tool in a good way to get them to do something else. So having PCPs and plans, the likes, the dislikes, the dreams and aspirations, you work off those every single day. What do they like? What do they dislike? How am I going to get them to want to meet their needs and that their needs are met? And then we all have aspirations. So we look at those in the detailed way and how can I do that? And then you environmentally check. What's changed in the house? What needs to be changed in the house? Lights need to be changed to a cell as you walk in, a sensory from light into dark. So you need to look at lots of ways you can do this and have my environment checklist, and that will help you. So I use the active support model. There's always an opportunity for learning. There's always an opportunity for them to be part of the decision making, part of their life, their interaction, and that we're always trying to teach them a skill. And if we don't know, if we struggle to find out, we use something called the task analysis. We find out what they like, and then we use the task analysis to help making a cup of tea, for example. They might never have made a cup of tea. So a task analysis technique is to, on day one, you pour the milk in. Day two, they pour the water and the milk in. Day three, tea bag, milk, or water, milk. Day four, sugar, tea bag, water, milk. And you build up. It doesn't have to be every day, but it could be every other time they have a cup of tea or something like that. Or if you need to do it backwards, they put the milk in last, and then tomorrow, you can go forward chaining or backward chaining. And it's just a real simple to upskill somebody and whatever they're doing. You can use task analysis with anything in any shape or form. Task analysis is amazing. Oh my God, I have 50 seconds. And the positive behavior support plans, routines and rituals. So we look at those. Communication environment, substitute skills, choice making, positive programming, opportunities to leisure, access to the community, structured timetable, really important, reinforcement schedules, relationships and relaxation. Hit these key skills. So we look at personal plans, again, skills, positive behavior plans. So we address the immediate needs, we redirection, we distract them, offering preferred item of activity, lower any demands, adaptive interaction, and teachable moments. And then reactive, run like hell, no, only if it's safe to leave them, and redirection, lower demands and attention. And strategic plans for support, escaping, calming techniques, and PBS plans. Let's go. I hope you've enjoyed this, and that I'm still recording, and my time has run out on my recording. So personality maps, I'm just going to go for the flow. So it's a logical levels of personality maps. It's where you can help someone at what level, or what level do they help? Is it their vision of where they're going, their aspirations, their dreams and goals? Is it something to do with self-identity? Is it their beliefs and values about a certain person, certain activity, or how they see themselves? Do they need to upskill their capabilities and skills? Is it a behavior, or is it an environment? And these all affect each other. So identity is the first one. And that will affect the beliefs and values, the capabilities, skills, the behaviors and environment. And you can work out at which point you need to work at and which point you can help support that person. And with the logical level is one of the best ways in all walks of life is, do I need to change my environment? Do I need to give them better capabilities and skills to help them with their behaviors? Do I need to help them with their beliefs and their values about how they see themselves, which is the identity? And do I need a goal? Do they need a goal or a vision or future aspiration or dream? I hope this has been a good training for you. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you will contact me and join on me some of my training. Any questions, I will answer. Any more information about this training that you'd want, drop us an email, drop us a message. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you soon.